Hi everyone. So today, or for this talk, I chose a bit of a different concept. So expect not much developer content inside, and you see it already with this slide. So let's start. Imagine this, yeah. Picture yourself in a kitchen, and you're like a cutting ninja. That's like who is like very able to like cut veggies very quickly, finely diced and everything. So the veggies that you see here on the slide look after seconds something like this, and all the people go like, oh, he's the chosen one. We need him in the kitchen. He's really great and so on. Yeah. But the thing is, like, the question that you could ask yourself also after your like amazement is like, what should we do with those veggies now? So they are all finely diced, but what is it useful for? Yeah, and it's like something that probably everyone knows, or in our developer work, that we have sometimes this thing of like we're just doing random stuff because we have no clue what we are doing. Yeah, because we don't know what we are doing. We have things like, for example, undiscovered customer needs that we failed to discover. Yeah, and worst of all, we have over-engineered architecture like this microservice dev star or something like this. Yeah. And the problem is, the question is more like, what if we have a shared big picture? So all of us working on a project, yeah? Coming back to the veggies from before, maybe it would be nice to know that there is an Italian cuisine, yeah? And a dish in this is like the ragu bolognese, and this one needs this sofrito. So if I come from the big picture view, I have a better movement on dealing with the things, on solving things, yeah? And this is the entry to my talk, which is called Domain-Driven Kitchen Madness, a thought experiment for tasty solutions, yeah? So, what I want to give you today in this video is like a short intro of why should we do domain-driven design? What is it good for? Then the major part of this talk is just this tasty example. So I want to guide you through an easy digestible example. Yeah. And after that, I give you some takeaways on what's behind this example. Who am I? My name is Maurizio Rinder. I'm a lead software developer at SQUER. And as you see, my main focuses are like architecture, clean code. I'm very passionate about domain-driven design. And I have this special CCC. So you can guess what it is. It's very simple. It's cooking, climbing, and cats. Those are my architecture styles that keep me sustainable all over the years. Yeah. So why domain-driven design? What's the reason behind it? The thing is, if we look at the definition, I copied that from Wikipedia. It's like this: that domain-driven design is not an architecture pattern or something, but more or less a software design approach. So what we want to do is like we want to try to align the business requirements or the business understanding with our software. Yeah. And in addition to that, it's like this, that we try to divide a large system into bounded contexts. Yeah. So areas where we can put solution strategies inside. Yeah. That's the major important part of that. Yeah. And what is needed for that is something like this that we already know. It's like we have a problem to solve, yeah, and we want to go to a solution. And usually it's like this. Many developers or many teams go like this, that they have probably one little meeting where they capture requirements with different labels, like whether it's business requirements or technical requirements and so on, and it gets all meshed together, and everyone thinks like, okay, we have now a clue what's going on, so we go straight to the solution. Yeah. And that's always the part where things fail, because we have still a lot of misconceptions in our understanding. Yeah. So the better way is to go maybe with this double diamond perspective. So what happens is like we should do first when we start a project, or when we are within a project, it's independent. Start with a researching phase. So what we should do is like we should discover discover the problem first. So we need to understand the problem. What's the target? What's the focus on that? Yeah. What do we want to solve? Yeah. This is always, if you go together with domain-driven design people, one major question they may ask is like, what problem do we want to solve with that? Yeah. And that's a very interesting question. If you ask that in the round, it's like very interesting what answers you get. And then maybe you can like, put the focus in the right direction. Yeah. The next thing when we discover is like also we want to, as I said before, narrow down the focus. So we want to like, explore and define the things. So, because if you just discover the things, of course, everyone tells you different information of everything and the world and everything, yeah. And you need to narrow it down to the things that are important for this problem, for the solution, yeah. And only after this research, then it starts to get more into this development implementation cycle, where you really start with a first solution that potentially is not that perfect yet. It could be just a bit better than a prototype, so first version and so on, but as fast as possible, yeah. Because as soon as a part of the solution is out, you are able to like get feedback, yeah. And this feedback is something that, depending on how it is, whether it's like okay, perfect, it's fine, or that's something we didn't expect, yeah. Well, in both cases, you go in the different directions of like, okay, then let's talk again about some details here and so on. Maybe we missed something, yeah. But it's this double diamond thing. It's not a one-way street and it's done, but it's really a thing that should loop within your project, yeah. And in the domain-driven design part, we mostly call this sections. So the blue diamond, it's mostly called like the problem space. And the other one is like the solution space, yeah. You can say also like in the domain-driven design, it's like the left part is more the place of the strategic domain-driven design and the right part is more the one of the tactical domain-driven design. So you might think this is a lot of overhead for just bringing out a solution that sounds very simple at the beginning, yeah. But imagine this, yeah. If you develop this, like, or if you go this approach, yeah, then what benefits do you get with this approach? Yeah, first of all, you have a common understanding. So whoever is in the room and takes part in the whole business understanding, business analysis, discovery, yeah, there is a common understanding after you leave the room, because you know the words, you know the processes a bit, yeah, you know the people, the communication structure. It's all part of this process. And with that, when you have words, when you have like understanding, you create empathy as a whole team, yeah. And empathy is something that empowers a lot of things, because with empathy, you are as a developer or as a member in this team, you're way more active also in the requirements engineering, in the whole refinement meetings and so on, because you start to ask right questions, not the one like which database should we use or which language or which feature should we use or something like this, but more like what does it have to do with what we are doing now and so on. So it's a bit of a different approach of questioning things, and also how would I say, consulting also in some way, because we are also some kind of guidance guides in this area, yeah. So and the benefits go on and on. So team responsibilities align implementation with business. So you can also say when the business changes or when some other new requirements go, it's a bit more easier to like grow with the new business needs or with anything that comes, because you already have this nice separation, and you can make better decisions, because as soon as you have defined your problem spaces, problem spaces with your solution, you have a bit better focus or better discussion points on which context you're talking about now and what you want to get better with. Yeah. Good. So this is the whole alignment, the major motivation for what's coming next. So the taste example is here, and I would like to give you a little story and guide you through this example with that. So it was me, 1 week ago. Yeah, I was sitting together with friends in the bar, and we had like a fun evening and so on, and then we had a couple of Negronis there drinking and so on, yeah. And of course, when you drink 2 or 3 Negronis, I count myself in, you get a bit dizzy and funny, and like your brain is like not that conscious anymore. And I thought like, I raise my hand now and tell my friends, you know what? I'm gonna make you a pasta you can't refuse. And it was like, you know, the evening went on and on, yeah. And the next morning I see this in the calendar, dinner for friends, and I thought like, okay, fuck, this really happened, yeah. So 1 week to go, and my mind says to me like, nah, it's not possible to do it. It's impossible. I can't do that. I mean, 4 people to cook for. It's like, what should I do here? Yeah. So what now? Well, there's a solution now with what we heard before. The double diamond come for the rescue. Yeah. So I need to start like this approach. And the first thing is understanding. So first I need to understand what I need to do, what's my real target for this dinner or for this section. Yeah. So in general, what do we do with this understanding? We try to align our organization's business models, and we try to figure out what our short-term goals, what our mid-term goals and so on. And also try to figure out where we can make a major impact. Yeah. Because what you don't want is like invest money in areas where it's like, okay, where it's just gone, more or less. Yeah. And one way to do this is like, for example, use a product vision board, for example. So as you see, the product vision board is divided in 5 sections. So vision, the target group, so who would be who would be the beneficiaries of this vision. The needs is a bit of a misguided word here. It's like, what problems do those target people have at the moment? How would you like to shape this product with which actions, and what is your actual business goal that you expect with this vision? Yeah. So as an example now, so that we get a common alignment for the next slides, here's my product vision for the dinner. Yeah. So my product vision is like, I'm gonna make my friends a pasta they can't refuse. Yeah. So of course, my target group is my friends, and those who like they had they went just only to, I would say, fake Italian restaurants. So like something like this, and they always think like, it's boring and repetitive. It's always about like the same things. You always have pasta with tomato sauce and that's it. Yeah. It's quite boring. So the invention is here, like, I want to make them like a well pasta that is like well combined with the sauce and give them a bit of a vibe, like good beverages with it, and have this, you know, Italian feeling in the evening. Yeah. And what I expect when the evening is done is like that my friends liked it that much that they'll come back. So you can think about, like, in business language, about retention. Yeah. So when they like your product, they come back, of course. Yeah. And also they share the experience. So it's like, maybe there are other people that say like, look, this one is good. This is a better place to be. So ask him whether he could invite you or something like this. Yeah. But with that slide, I guess we have like a common understanding on what's the major target here for this thing. And let's say this is the first day of investment that I took of the whole week. Some other things, other techniques here for understanding your business needs is like, you can use the business model canvas. You can use impact mapping for that, Wardley mapping or user story mapping. Those are also techniques that you could use for like get a common picture of that. Yeah. Just bear in mind though, everything here is an investment. So it's not done within 1 hour and then that's it. You have to like, really invest like a workshop format for that. Yeah. So for example, a product vision board could take about 2-3 hours depending on how big the case is. Yeah. For the understanding, in this particular example, there's also another thing that you could do here that might support here for the example, which could be ask for their preferences. So if you just want to cook for them and just imagine you're standing in the kitchen, make 4 hours of a ragu, like meat-based ragu, and then all of a sudden your friends come by and they say, I'm actually vegetarian. Well, that's something that you should have asked before. Yeah. but this is just a little joke aside. But also an easy one. It could happen also in business cases that you should also ask, like, what would you prefer here? Yeah, it's something that can be easily forgotten. So now we have the understanding, but we have no understanding yet on how like an Italian dinner would look like. Yeah. So we only know the target, the vision, the target, and so on. So the next thing is we need to discover this domain, this area. Yeah. And, that's the thing. So we need to learn the process. We need to learn which items are involved in this process, yeah, and just get familiar with the area, so that you like at a time you can easily move around in this area and like play around with the things and so on, and speak the language and so on. Yeah. And what do we need, or where should we start with that? Of course, there's one thing: we should talk to the domain experts. Yeah. So those who have the major knowledge about this area. In my example now, there is only one person that could be the domain expert, which is the best chefs in the world. And who might that be? La mama, of course, yeah, yeah. So that was my decision to say like, okay, I'm gonna talk with my mother, whether on phone or like in person. And to make it a bit weird, the discussion, I used domain storytelling for that. So I wanted to picture like what she's saying to me about like how about the process, yeah. And the major thing here about in the discovery phase is like, you are still, as the one who needs the knowledge, you are the one responsible on what information the person will give you. So depending on how you ask them or what information you want, you get a different level of granularity here in terms of content. So suppose if I ask my mother, like, how do I make a perfect pasta? Then we are like talking 3-4 hours or one day just about the whole pasta thing and the thing on how you do it perfectly, which shape goes with which sauce and so on. One day is over and you have nothing. Yeah. So the better way to ask is like, hey, mom, how can I create a nice dinner for my people? It's a different level of granularity, and maybe you get something like this after the discussion. This is a domain storytelling map, and I can just tell you what's on it. But I guess you can also stop the video and read through. It's easy. But the thing is, like, my mother will tell me something like, okay, maybe the first thing you should do is like plan the menu. So think about what you want to cook at this evening. So menu planning, yeah. And then when you have the menu, you should look up the ingredients on what you need. Then you put them on the shopping list. You go shopping, yeah. And when you come back, you're like, okay, when the dinner evening is starting, yeah, you start, of course, cooking. You turn on some music, decorate the table a bit, yeah. And then when you serve the pasta and so on, you maybe think about like also go with a red wine or a white wine, depending on which type of pasta you're serving, yeah. And one important thing is like here also for the end, just finish the dinner with a nice espresso, yeah, or an espresso macchiato, not a cappuccino, because if you use a cappuccino, it's not good. Cappuccino is just for tourists and for breakfast, yeah, yeah, especially in the afternoon. So now with this, I guess we have a better understanding now on what areas we need to like focus on, yeah. But it's still a lot, yeah. Before we go to the next part, here also some other additional worth mentioning techniques. I guess many of you heard already about event storming, for example, is a very good technique to get a real big picture of things, but you can also narrow it down to some smaller processes, yeah. And it's also a very time-consuming workshop format, but I guess the outcome is very valuable, yeah. And the other thing that could be also interesting here as an addition for this example is this example mapping. So just imagine if we go back here to the story again. I could also ask my mother now, like, okay, I know now the whole principle here, but maybe I could ask her also, like, could you give me an easy example on like how can I satisfy 80% of the people with this now, yeah? And maybe she gives me just this one recipe that I can follow at the moment, yeah? And this is for the time pressure that I have, this is probably enough already, yeah? And afterwards I can evolve, you know? It's not something that's done after 1 week. It can happen again. But at least I have something, yeah? I think it's part of the domain storytelling also. They said like a good example is better than multiple abstractions or something like this. I think it's like this quote. I hope if Henning sees it or Stefan Hofer, you can correct me afterwards. Good. So now we have the storytelling, the graphic. Now we are able to like maybe find some problem spaces. So we are able to like decompose the things. Yeah. So what happens is like when we decompose the things into smaller pieces, we reduce our cognitive load. We can really focus on a particular area after these boundaries are clear. Yeah. And with the decomposition comes also this team autonomy thing, because with that, you can really say, okay, you are responsible for this area. You are responsible for this area. I think it happens in every kitchen or in every restaurant that you have like team responsibilities on those sections. Yeah. And why shouldn't it happen also in development, business areas, and so on? Yeah. So coming back to our graphic before, there are some clues here in the story that tell you like, this could be a section and this could be also a section, which is, when you read it carefully, you see some of the handover things. So where people hand over items to some other area and so on. And this is most of the times a perfect clue of like, okay, now it's something different happens. For example, a nice thing is here, as you see, the pasta. Here, this item looks a bit different than the one that's cooked already. Yeah? So this where it gets hand over. So here's the other thing, the cooked pasta. Yeah. So you have here these handover things, and what you can do now is like, for example, here, but with the menu, we know we have to plan the menu and then we hand it over to someone else, or maybe it's in this case it's ourselves. But imagine there's a chef that takes over the menu. So we could say, okay, we have an area that's called menu planning, and this is just responsible for like planning the menu. Easy as that. Yeah? Then we have another section which is a bit bigger, which is like cooking and taking care of the ingredients. Yeah? Why I put the ingredients aside, I can tell you, is because maybe here in this Italian cuisine part, choosing the right ingredients is also quite sensible. So maybe the cooking and the ingredients part should go hand in hand, so that you could prevent, for example, that someone else decides on having a cream with the carbonara, which is not a good thing. Yeah. The third section could be the shopping. Yeah. So this is the area where people like take care on where to get the ingredients. Yeah. It could be a very simple thing, like just go to a supermarket and buy it, but it could be a bit more than that. And yeah, let's go on and on. So here we have a subsection music. We have a subsection or subdomain. It's called actually subdomain. A subdomain decoration, and then we have the beverages. Yeah, and you see, this story is now divided in different cases. And just imagine if you have 2 or more people, you can already like guide them in one direction, and this is like very, very independent. You have only these handover sections where you need to coordinate things, but nothing else. So this bubble summarizes still. So those are the subdomains that we found in this little decomposition discussion. And now that's the exciting part. That's where the meat starts like coming up good. Yeah. So strategize. That's the thing where we want to decide, okay, what in this area is our core domain, or what is the thing on where we want to invest our cognitive load, or invest our money. This is the thing we need to discuss now. We need to find. Yeah. And for that, there is another way to model that, which is called a core domain chart. Yeah. It's something that's very often used. I think it's from Nick Thune. And this core domain chart is, first of all, it has an X and a Y axis. Yeah. Which defines like the business differentiation and the complexity. So the X-axis tells you like how much of a USP do you create with that. So the more right it is, yeah, the more you differentiate the thing to all the other things. And the more to the left it is, it's something like you will find it behind every corner, I would say. Yeah. And also on the y-axis, the complexity defines like how complex is the model in that area. Yeah. So are there a lot of constraints? Is it a lot of like, I don't know, classes you might expect, or a lot of rules or something like this. Yeah. So if it's very low, then you might say, okay, it's easy. And if it's higher, then it's like really, really something. And yeah, this core domain chart is divided now in this area. So we have a core area, as you see, this is really like in the upper section. So that means like whatever is there, it's already something that differentiates you, and probably something that's very something where you need to put your brain power inside. So because this is your USP of your project, of what you want. Yeah. The supporting things, they are necessary. They need to be there, because without them you can't do the major part. Yeah. And the generic stuff are usually those things that you might buy, that you outsource or something like this. So if we take now our subdomains inside, we can now put them on this grid, yeah, on this graphic. So of course, maybe that's already logical for you. Is like the cooking and ingredients part is for sure the thing where I want to like define myself from my friends. We saw it in the product vision board that I want to make this part being good. Yeah, this is the thing that they should remember. So this is a core part. Yeah, this should differentiate me to all the other restaurants, maybe, or something like this. Yeah. The menu planning is just a supporting thing. So I need that, because if I don't have a plan, I don't know what to cook, but it's still something that everyone does probably. Yeah. Shopping, the same thing. So everyone would go to a supermarket and buy the ingredients. There's no big deal with that. And for the free parts here, beverage, music, decoration, this is in the generic. And just think about it. You have these situations also in your project. Yeah. Think about here in this area. Would you have 1 week time for like make your own beverages? Would you you really plan your own vineyard and prepare your own wine? Would it make sense for the time consuming? No, it's expensive. It doesn't bring the value. So it might be better you go and buy the wine. Yeah. For the first time. Yeah. There are things already. I mean, this is just, in this example, one dinner. So this dinner can happen again, and probably you want to improve your dinner business. Yeah. So what could happen is like maybe in the shopping part, you would like to like, take more care of the quality of the ingredients. So maybe the shopping by the next time could go also into the core part. And then it looks like this, that, this person who goes shopping is not going to the supermarket, but a real Bauernmarkt or something like this, and buy the ingredients. So they are like way better and this improves also the dish, of course. Yeah. Okay. And now we have our core part. We have our decomposition. What's left is like, we need to like look now, how do those things relate to each other? Are there dependencies? Are they somehow related with each other? So we define the bounded context. Yeah. This is now the part where we also can establish the team autonomy and communicate also the clear goals there. So we can really then say, what's your big deal with that? Yeah. So if we come back to our findings before, we can, sometimes it's like this, it's a bit of a confusing thing, but usually it's like this. There's either a one-to-one mapping between the definition of subdomains and the bounded context, but it can be a bit different. So it depends. The bounded context is something that you as a developer already, or as a development team, define as the solution space for something from the business. Yeah. In the perfect world would be that it goes hand in hand with the subdomains, but it can be a bit different. So if we take a closer look at this, then probably if you think it through, then you will find relationships something like that. So for example, the menu planning and the cooking and ingredients probably relate to each other, because whatever I plan in the menu is like has an effect on what I want to cook and how would I put the ingredients on. Vice versa, when I have the ingredients on my list and I hand it over, then of course it has an influence on the one who who needs to buy the things, yeah, and so on. The pointed line here should tell here in this context map that the decoration is probably a separate world thing. It doesn't depend on anything. Yeah, probably a bit on the menu. Maybe you want to align it, but usually you can just easily go with, you know, table covers and a fork and knife and a bit of flowers and so on, and it's already good. Yeah, so it doesn't have too much dependencies here. But here, for example, the beverages also, because if you have like a red sauce, maybe a red wine would be nice for that. If you have a lighter sauce, maybe a white wine would be nice. So you have these relationships here, and think about your business. It's nearly the same thing here of this, like defining when you go through this, then you really find also these subsections and the relationships between them. Yeah. And now it's the exciting part about the team alignment. So we could say now, okay, on the top, we have like more or less the thing about like the cooking experience. So the menu planning, the cooking ingredients and the shopping. Yeah. And on the lower level, we have like the Italian vibe. So this whole, thing of making the evening like, nice and comfortable. So in this case, we could say maybe there are two teams. Yeah. So one team be the squadra farfalle, which takes care of the whole, cooking area. Yeah. So this team, it could be one person, it could be more, is mainly responsible that the whole dish ends up well on the table. Yeah. So from the menu planning to the shopping to the cooking, this is their responsibility. Yeah. And they can work it out inside this area. Yeah. And the other team is the squadra barolo. Yeah. Which is like, you know, the team that takes care of the whole Italian flair, yeah. And if you think about it now, like look at this. They have not much coordination work to do. They only need to know, okay, that's the menu, and then that's everything they need for like aligning to each other, because they think about the music they want to play, how to decorate, what beverage. But that's good, yeah. Yeah. And then they can work independently without further like discussions or anything. What I pictured here is something that is mentioned in the team topologies book. Yeah. Also a nice thing, and it gives you also a nice language on visualizing team coordination, relevant coordination things. So like you can see here, like what are stream aligned teams, what is a complicated system, how do they communicate with each other and so on. So I really recommend this. This is a book that's very often mentioned in the domain-driven design area. And I think this is something that I think should get more and more attention with the time now. Because I think this empowering teams, this getting the teams well together to work on something is something that is highly valuable. And I think with that you can like raise a lot in your business. Good. This was the example. So the question now is, what should you take away from that, aside from like planning a dinner now? So let's go for this. So from the example, there's something that's still valuable for that. Yeah, from the example, what you can take away from that is, if you look at that map, you can maybe try it out at home. Yeah. So just follow this guidance and be brave and invite people to a dinner and just follow this story and see where you end up with that. That's one thing. The other thing, which is very exciting here, is I guess you see on the header, it says that this story is a pure story. So, and if you look carefully, you don't see any computer or any digital assistance on that graphic. Yeah. So that's something that you could think about, like where in this area would you think about like digital assistance? Where does it make sense? Also, where does it make sense to also put artificial intelligence inside? My example would be, this is a spoiler, my thought would be maybe the menu planning would be a perfect area where you can use artificial intelligence, because if you have your whole menu and you want to make it every day or every week, yeah, maybe this AI part could support you in like creating a perfect chain of menus that you can plan, so that at the end of the week or at some point you don't have to deal with waste, because it always happens that you have from one type of ingredient, so many veggies or something at home. You use it just for this recipe, and the other things go bad. Yeah. So maybe this is a nice way of supporting like the zero waste policy in your home. Yeah. So that's something that you can take from the example. And now for your projects, yeah, I would say this is a good way of decomposing things. So give it a chance. Yeah. So just try to align with the business and try to decompose your parts according to that and not the technical things. Yeah? But be aware, it's not perfect at the first glance. So you need to embrace the imperfection and iterate on that. That's natural because we are in a complex space. So, and complexity is always moving. It involves language, and therefore there is no perfection in that. Yeah. So you need to always be reflective and iterate on your models, on your separation and so on. But that's totally fine. We call it software, so it should be like that. Yeah. Yeah. Try to align with your business whenever, wherever you can. So talk to the people that would use that software, yeah, I would say that the common understanding, so creating this common ground, this is pure gold, I think. So this is something that nearly every company should do, yeah, or the teams at least, in every area perfectly, yeah. Good. So that's actually it. I leave you with some sources. So the talk itself was inspired by the domain-driven design crew. There's a wiki page on that, and there they have this starter modeling process where they also like it's very the same to what I showed you today. There are also quite good books from, of course, Eric Evans, Domain-Driven Design, from Vlad Kononov, a book that I'm currently reading. And Domain-Driven Transformation might also be a very useful book for people who are dealing with legacy software that maybe should be transformed into some greater good. Yeah, and also something, if you are interested in that, join the Como Camp. It's a yearly conference or unconference. An unconference, it's every year. I think it's about 2 or 3 days. Yeah, join it. It's very nice. And when the weather is cool, the location is nice, and you can like chill and also get some good knowledge from there, and also get some, have some good conversations there. Cool. And with that, I want to leave you with one quote. It's like sharing a meal with someone is an act of love. And I'm very happy that I'm able to share this brain food with you today. Yeah, this is Square. And these are my QR codes for my Session Nice profile and 2 recipes that you could try out. Thank you.